descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You have really let yourself go.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door, and then, to you, he lets out an audible sigh.
You are obviously a liberal, Sailorite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. Do not deny your friend the truth you have denied yourself. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education on? Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades in Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation-states: the Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Maun.
Mahun is a derogative term for First World people of Gotwaldian descent. They do not all have eczema. Also, people of Katla, like the Suru and the Huhu, are much more lactose intolerant. In some municipalities of Oranje, people do wear shoes made of wood to street parades. Green, orange, and even yellow tassels have also been seen on hats.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for this century. You might want to avoid wooden clogs too.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, all have Type A race propensities. The other large Mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum. As proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental Type A is in retrograde. The Simonese and the Areopagite are on the ascent. The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Simonese inhabit the southern islands. I am Simonese, from the stock of Elysium on Ile de Fantôme. The Areopagites are the master race of the Ile-Maran deserts. The Simonese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ile-Maran to Ansuland, thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant Marne-ridden Occidentals discovered this place. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Simonese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite or Simeopagite super-race. That is all. There are no more type A races in the world. Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race. The Khoikos and the Vacholiers, they are mud-colored people.
The Khoikos of Grad, Yuko, Zhimsk, Shest et al. Are what you would call white officer in a suspect description.
Yes, to an untrained eye, the Khoiko appear white and pinkish, like a hand sandwich. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct color, and so is their skin. Unhealthy, muddy, and ashen. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking Al-Rul and smoking the degenerate tobacco herb, and for eating potato. The Khoiko, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with potat. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethnostates, like political amoeba. The Vacholians, halfway between type A and the racial cauldron. Two makes to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history on this planet.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad, in Zarath-ridden potato carts. It is literally an illness, a prion disease that leaves the parietal and frontal lobe ridden with holes. A soft, sponge-like mass of dementia, hallucination, and paranoia. The revolution is fatal familial insomnia. A hereditary prion condition passed from the Khoiko to the Occidentals. But not sexually. Probably through trade routes and potate acid, the prime component of the potato plant. Enough of Tibet mediocrity. Tips CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Seminese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Seminese. The other way around, they fail to produce offspring. The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack basic phylogenetic education. Then there is the Seminokoiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Seminokoiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site. The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Seminese with the Koiko to produce a super worker of Seminese strength and great servility. This will never happen. The Seminese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Seminese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman or Koika. But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Type F. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on? You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way in, without becoming a race theoretician.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously, the lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
Lost, though, buckled away at the last gate. This is why your haplogroup will never rise from the ashes. Now, I need to luxuriate in the private company of my babe. Leave me. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vasholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease?
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
Looking for something?
Men like this only respect two things, strength and fear. Time to turn up the volume.
Fuck you, I told you. I'm not gonna...
There. His voice grows smaller as yours.
Look, fuck you, man. It's Lorry down there. Green banged up thing. I don't fucking know who she is.
When did she go away?
I don't know. I don't even know her name. She just rolls with the fleet and acts like a big shot. Some dyke, probably. I haven't even seen her for days. Past the monument, down there. The Green Temple. Now leave me the fuck alone, okay?
A small temple by the monument. Green. Let's get into that lorry.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind?
This green found, A to Z, contemporain, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This must be the one he told us about, unless he was lying.
The glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of the seat and two steering levers. The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently replaced. There's no pick in this lock. The owner has put special care into it. It's a recessed design.
Use the pry bar to smash the window. Open it from the inside. This has been hard enough. No need to make it any harder.
Pry bar in hand, you take a hard swing at the window. A loud thunk rings out and the pry bar bounces back, leaving a tiny spider web on the glass. Goddamn maggot. Drag your ass to the gym and do some reps right now. Looks like the window might be shatterproof. You may have to rethink your approach.
No, it's not shatterproof. Give me that.
He smashes it into the window. Droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and pavement. You can just reach in now.
It went better than I expected. Open it from the inside.
The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper. It's an issue of Périphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system.
The Uland frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Radio, posters, a trace of motor oil smell under all the cigarettes. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least. For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation, with quite a range too.
A 20-kilometer radius at least, perhaps extended by an attachable antenna that's not here right now.
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox under the seat. You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Sandpaper? A novel technique? Yes?
Do the honors, he thinks. Connect it yourself.
Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching. Looks like her, yes. Now we know for certain who's the missing 8th person at the lynching. Do you think that Hardy and his boys could also be involved in the drug operation? Understood. We should still go and see what Titus has got to say on the matter. Are we finished with the lorry?
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. The radio transmitter sits on the center console and a faint smell of perfume is in the air. These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye. A centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. There's definitely perfume in the air. It's spicy, with a hint of amberette, wafting through the bitter air of the cabin. The remnants of a sweet juniper-scented perfume, probably Grenade number 5. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? But you can't put your finger on whom exactly. This is Tijon, a starlet from the dawn of cinematography, less known for her talent than her tragic, untimely death. She wasted away in a drug den called the Door to the River, not far from here on Boogie Street, a mixture of cocaine and morphine. She was afraid of the world and the camera too. The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat. You close the rusty old lorry door.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce? Alright, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep. Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net.
This means it's well funded. Technology like that, a major player must be financing it.
I'm not sure what the Ulan frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks.
Listening in on your calls between you and your station, a worrying prospect.
And last but not least, it looks like the Hardy Boys knew this driver, as we know that she was present at the lynching. This may be the Union connection we've been searching for.
The probe and the case converged, he thinks. This was quite the find.
Like Joyce told us, yes, logistically. But don't expect to bust this open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them to other ends as extra ammunition. We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that. The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade.
Don't be fooled. Desire always plays a role.
Yes, well...
Unimportant.
Debrief over, after you.
I saw you poking around in Lady Driver's Lorry. She in trouble? It's that bad. Man, what should I do? What should I do to help her? Yeah, maybe I should just keep my head down and work on my rhymes while I can. Oh, you know, Tommy Leham's gonna be a musician. Sprechgesang, but with beats. I've got a lot of free time on the road to hone my craft. Tommy Lam was taken. My real name's Jerry Lafitte. Tommy's way better.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this. In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I am sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing land, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenell, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbour. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
It will be all of them. The decision is already made.
It was the Union who strung him from that tree. My hope is that you provide a single concrete suspect before Crenell indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Débardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty.
The Serai's giant hornet, the world's second largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all.
The muzzle loaders need to be reloaded after every 1 or 2 shots. The automatics every 1 or 2 minutes.
As I said, a bloodbath. Many bleak scenarios have already come true. Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia. All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. If you mean did I see him alive? Yes, but I did not know him. Lorry, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. One is a man, Courty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Courty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head.
I can't remember.
The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed.
That's all right, man. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions.
What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. The remaining contractors. Their tribunal. It's what they believe. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a shortwave at the ship's wheel. I hope I can answer it better. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, The Seminoles Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenell. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half a minute, in silence.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century. Over 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Seminoles Islands, then this. Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Inter-Islary Age.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning. His platoon members? The other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere.
I am relieved you think so. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. I just don't like it very much. Movement on the road never really gelled well with the movement of my thoughts. Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night. Some kind of powerful electric vortex hitting the shop and then moving on.
That sure narrows down our list of suspects.
He shakes his head, slowly.
Sure, let me have a look. Oh, no. I don't like those kinds of objects. No sale. Aphotic paths, counter-radiance networks, anti-magnetism. It's darkness. That's all I know. Sell me something lighter. I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.